Hi, everyone. Welcome to APLING605. My name is Grace Sullivan-Bucher, and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. This is a brief introductory video where I go over the syllabus, and I also introduce myself a little bit and contextualize the course for you all as we embark on this journey together. So if you grab your syllabus, I'll be walking through it right now. So yeah, this is APLING 605. And I don't have a UMass Boston email yet, so bear with me. This is my personal email that you can use in the meantime, and I'll let you know when that is updated. So this course is an introductory course that presents the theoretical and the theoretical background in second language development and language teaching. So the concepts from this field, it's an interdisciplinary course. So there's a lot of concepts from linguistics, psychology, sociology, anthropology, and education. And we're going to be exploring the fundamental questions about language learning. This is like a survey course, so you're going to be getting a lot of information from a lot of different fields and see how they're interwoven together. The course focuses on the social, cultural, cognitive, and pedagogical foundations of second language acquisition, and it builds students' understanding of the relationship between research, theory, and practice in second and foreign language teaching. So the contributions of major schools of thought, including behaviorism, innativism, cognitivism, interaction. You'll learn all these. They're introduced in relation to current and historical language teaching practices and beliefs. So there, you can read the course objectives here. The students will gain an understanding of psychological, social, and cultural aspects of learning and using a second or foreign language. You'll see here, we'll talk in more detail about native language versus second versus foreign language in terms of terminology. You'll engage in fundamental debates and questions about language learning and teaching, and you'll make connections across research, theory, and practice in language education. You will also generate novel empirical questions and do your own research about second language acquisition and teaching, and think critically on linguistic, cognitive, social, historical, and cultural complexities of language education. Seems like a lot, but this is a really exciting, like I said, survey course. So there are a bunch of different classes that you're going to be taking, APLING 618 and 612, that are more in depth about different aspects of teaching and language learning. But this is, again, just kind of an introductory discussion about the theoretical paradigms to understand how people learn a new language. And okay, so there are 2 required textbooks, and if you can get that as soon as possible, that would be very helpful. So the first one is the Lightbone and Spada. I have the 4th edition, so I think what I'll be doing is I'll just be referring to the chapters. If you want the 4th or 5th edition, that's great. And if there's any deviation in page number, don't worry about it. Just refer to the chapter. The second one is also by Lightbone, and it's called Focus on Content-Based Language Teaching. And yeah, this one is, we won't start reading this until later in the semester, so you have a little bit of time to get that one, but the really priority is to get the first one, Lightbone and Spada. And so I want to briefly talk about the requirements for the semester, because I know that's what you guys are all going to be worried about. It's a little bit of everything. So weekly participation is incredibly important, obviously, especially for an asynchronous class. It's really important that you're going to, learn from the course material, but also from your fellow classmates. So I'll post some guidelines each week for participation that'll probably take the form of weekly discussion boards, but you'll also have 3 mini papers that are called reading responses. So I'm at this top of the 2nd page if you're following along on the syllabus, which please do, because I hope this will make sense. So these mini papers or reading responses are really more of a critical analysis and reflection on the reading, way more than just what's it called, like a summary. So you'll pick out a couple of themes over the course of the weeks that reoccur in the readings, and you'll provide a discussion of those readings that shed light on the themes you've selected. I'll provide more information in maybe next week. I'll post the guidelines, but basically the point is to just not summarize one by one, because we can all do that. But you want to provide a synthetic discussion of the assigned readings that shed light on these themes, and organize your response thematically. So you talk about 2 or 3 important themes, you discuss the theories, the research findings, and the pedagogical application related to these themes for language teaching. Then compare and contrast these ideas that you've found in your discussion to other concepts that we've discussed in class, or what you've studied in other coursework. And then please explain the significance of these concepts to the larger field of applied linguistics. And then the next assignment that we're going to be doing are reading presentations. So around mid-semester, I'll be assigning, I'll post instructions for this too, but I'll be assigning each of you a reading to present. And based on how many of you are there, you might be doing it in partners. So you'll make a very short slideshow presentation of the readings. We'll summarize the key points and discuss how it relates to the themes of the semester. Then you'll compare and contrast to other ideas, blah, blah, blah. It's very similar to the presentations that I'll be doing each week. It's kind of like your opportunity to present a reading. And yeah, you'll be raising questions for class discussion and then moderating the discussion board, kind of like how I do. It's a great opportunity for you to practice being a discussion leader. And then finally, there's a final paper where, let me get my notes. There's a final paper that I'm not going to be discussing too much in too much detail here, because I'll upload the guidelines later. But you'll be either doing like a lit review where you go and do some empirical, or you do some library research on a topic we've covered in the course. So you can, as this is a survey course where I give you a lot of information, you could kind of go in depth a little bit more about the different analytical frameworks and literature on a topic. Or you can go and do your own empirical research where you think of a research question yourself, you go out and collect some data and answer that question and then analyze it, blah, blah, blah. This might sound daunting right now, but I just wanted to let you know that there are two options for the final project and presentation, and you're going to have a lot of guidelines and guidance on the way. So just kind of wet your whistle for what is expected for the assignments. Pages 3, 4, and 5 are all your resources for the UMass Boston, and then also any resources, support systems that are available to you. And please take advantage of these and email me if you have any questions about those. And finally, I want to talk to you about the weekly schedule. So this is subject to change based on readings or interests and things like that. So as we go throughout the semester, please keep an eye out for announcements from me and always look at the most recent version of the syllabus online. I'll always update you. Well, yeah, I'll always update you if I've updated the syllabus. So keep an eye out for that. And so our first week, as you can see, is the assignment is just to introduce yourself in a discussion board. And what I'd like you to do with these discussion boards is please make sure you submit them by the end of the week, by Friday, if possible, so that we can respond by, the weekend. That's just a good habit to get into. Your initial post should be by Friday, and then we can get into our discussions throughout the weekend. Cool. And yeah, so the discussions and the assignments are weekly, and then you'll also see reading responses in red, and further down you're going to see like a yellow highlighted row to show that is Thanksgiving. And then the final week is a short week. Actually, it's just opportunity for you to work on your papers and your brief presentations. Again, you'll get more information later, don't worry about it now. But what I wanted to highlight too is that when it comes to the discussion board and the assignments, it's really important that you are punctual with the assignments, because so much of this class, because it's asynchronous, so much of this class is lives in the discussion board area. So if you upload things later, we don't really get a chance to engage with the material. So please, please, please be punctual with that, and your grades will reflect the punctuality. So finally, you can see if you're scrolling, you got week 14 is a smaller project. And then finally, you have a list of the assigned readings at the end of the syllabus. Okay, so that's the course in a nutshell. I know it's probably like a lot, but I wanted to give you just again, wet your whistle, a little trailer for what this semester is going to be. Everything's on Blackboard. It's going to be updated all the time. And so you're just going to have to kind of get used to that. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a cross-cultural communications specialist by training. I am a linguist by training. I went to Georgetown University and got a PhD in linguistics, and I've been teaching a variety of linguistics classes since 2013. I actually, I don't know. I feel like a little daunted talking about my qualifications, and it's always kind of like, icky, right? But no, let me be a good model because I'm asking you to do it in the discussion board too. So yeah, my research interests include language and social justice. So I research everything from language and gender, language and racial justice, anything that has like an intersection between language and social justice. That's where I am. I've been teaching online for many, many years. I think that this platform is actually really conducive for great conversation. And I am also in the Foreign Service. So kind of an interesting little angle. I am based in DC and we travel around the world as a family overseas. I've been stationed in Argentina and most recently Pakistan, and do work as a linguistics professor and cross-cultural communication specialist overseas. So it's a very interesting lifestyle. And I'm happy to answer questions about that if you are curious. This is Islamabad, a picture of the mosque. Yeah, so I think when it comes to applied linguistics, it's so fascinating because when we learn about applied linguistics, kind of like in the big applied linguistics, capital A, capital L, we think about language learning and language teaching and all that stuff that we're going to be talking about in this semester. But I have a really fascinating perspective on applied linguistics because I'm applying linguistics every day as a communication specialist. So companies will hire me to use linguistic theory to apply it in a specific environment like a workplace. So that is really cool and really invigorating. The other kind of applied stuff that I do work in forensic linguistics, so language and crime. So if there's ever an instance where language is in dispute or there's an issue in a courtroom, they could call me, the legal team could call me to then provide insight onto the situation. And that's another kind of like little flavor of applied linguistics that's really cool. So for the purposes of this class, though, we're going to be learning about language teaching, and my own linguistic background is varied. I grew up in Egypt for a few years. My dad was getting a Fulbright because he's also a professor, and my mom was working for USAID. And so we were stationed in Egypt as a young child. And so my actual first language, I learned English and Arabic kind of concurrently, but I didn't learn it as like in a school setting because I was a toddler. I learned it through osmosis, but I didn't know kind of where like word boundaries were. So I knew that the best way to say like my Arabic name is Baraka. So I knew that I would say like Ismi Baraka, but I didn't know that Ism was a name. I was Ismi, the I ending was possessive, and Baraka was my name, which I did know. But anyway, there's morphological boundaries. I had no idea until college when I learned Arabic more systematically, like more like a second language learner. So that was kind of a fun, weird mental exercise for me. I also I studied Spanish in undergrad, and then I also my personal research for before I changed to more cross-cultural communication stuff in undergrad was actually Maori of New Zealand. So I went to New Zealand and studied and collected a bunch of data about how little kids learn Maori as a native speaker, where the linguistic environment around them is English. So kind of it's this like, again, very similar to like, it's a really interesting idea of like, it's heritage speakers, yes, because their grandparents speak it, but their parents don't, due to some pretty horrible colonial laws. So it really sparked my interest for language, social justice, language revitalization, language learning, and all that fun stuff. So unfortunately, that sometimes happens. Your research doesn't, quite pan out the way you want to. So I had to change tacks a little bit in grad school and leave that behind. I'll get into that later. It's not sad. It's just, logistically really hard to study Maori when you're based in DC. So that's pretty much all that happened. So yeah, I'm rambling. So what I was worried about when I didn't want to introduce myself, because I get really excited about linguistics and language teaching. I'm really excited. So that's me. You can call me Grace. You can call me Dr. Grace. You can call me Dr. Bucher. Sullivan is my middle name. So if you see anything like published under Sullivan, that was my maiden name, and now I publish under both. Sullivan is my middle name. So yeah, that's my story. Okay, let me stop here. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll post the instructions for your own little introductory discussion board posts, and then also like an info sheet for me to see what your interests are, and we'll go from there. I'm very excited. Okay, let me stop. Okay, email me if you have any questions. Okay, bye.